Welcome to Secrets of Stand-Up Comedy. I'm Dick Williams. I'm going to tell you everything I know about stand-up so you can be a better comic. Let's look at the business side of stand-up. It's an important aspect to consider. There's a giant boom in comedy right now, mainly because of the internet and all the social media. And then there's Netflix and HBO and a lot of independent productions. They're just putting out specials. You can make people are making a fortune because of podcasts. The average comic, if you're, let's say you're just starting to headline, it's tough making money doing this. I remember back in the day when I was featuring, I think the best week I would get was maybe $600. And that was on like a Wednesday through Sunday with 2 shows, Friday and Saturday. And here's the kicker. That was the late 90s. The money doesn't seem to have changed. The only difference is they're not using features from out of town unless they come along with the headliner. So if you don't have some kind of fan base, you're going to struggle. How do you build a fan base? Well, social media is the obvious way now. Dane Cook kind of revolutionized that. I'm going to do a video defending Dane. I know Dane pretty well. And while we may have had our little disagreements in the past, he literally brought comedy back from the brink and laid out the formula that every entertainer uses now with social media and websites. And he was doing it in 1999, 2000. It's hard to make a living as a comedian unless you start getting door deals, unless you're booked the whole year round, or you're doing cruise ships or corporate shows. There's a lot of effort to maybe become famous one day and cash those big checks. What can you do in the meantime? Well, one of the things that I do, I mean, I haven't been actively pursuing stand-up in a while, but I have an eBay store. The bottom's fallen out from that as well because of the economy right now and inflation, but that could be a fun thing for you to do when you're on the road. Go to estate sales, go to Salvation Army and Goodwill and see what they have there that you can resell. And you keep it to small items so that you can travel with them and ship them from wherever. But I want to talk more about different things you can do within comedy or that are comedy adjacent. So build up these skills. Oddly enough, maybe it's not so odd, I've seen a lot of female comics starting OnlyFans, which, I mean, I don't know. I guess you got to do what you got to do to live your dreams. I don't recommend any of you male comics doing it. Please, for the love of God. Although I am raw dogging a cardigan here. There's no shirt on underneath. It's just this little Ralph Lauren scarf. All right, let me get back to the point. When I moved to Los Angeles, I got off the road where I was barely making any money to not making a dime from comedy, except for the rare occasions that I would get booked on Latino or Black shows. What was I going to do? Well, I hooked up with my former corporate job, and they allowed me to work remotely for about 6 months. And then they decided, yeah, this isn't working out. So I had to scramble. And fortunately, I got hired as a writer for a website. My main skill that they saw was that I could come up with material, in that case, topical jokes, really fast. And they were usable. They were funny. That skill, and also being able to write roast jokes, carried me through a lot of my jobs. When I met with the executive producer of the Best Damn Sports Show, period, a lot of that show was going to be writing topical jokes. So as soon as the interview was over, it was at the Fox lot. I happen to live in Beverly Hills, which is right around the corner. I raced home, And within 20 minutes, I had written 20 topical sports jokes and emailed them to the guy that just interviewed me. Oh, I have something in my throat. And I got the job like that. He was like, oh, good. You're taking this seriously. You have the chops. Yeah. When can you start? So having that was amazing for me. The other skill that I developed was writing sketches and directing sketches and directing big name actors and talent in sketches. So I directed all the blue collar comedy guys in for a website called Blue Collar or Die. It was the offshoot of Funny or Die that Will Ferrell ran. And I'm going to show you a couple of the sketches that I wrote and directed and actually acted in at the end of this. I was in charge of a whole team of PAs, editors, videographers, and writers. We wound up narrowing down the writers, just me and another guy. And we'd bring in actors and actresses. And so that was another skill that I could bank on. So I had the sketch writing and directing. I was directing people like Shaquille O'Neal and Ray Lewis and James Caan. I like crazy big names. Mike Tyson. I mean, it was pretty crazy for me. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I always bring him up because that was like a surreal moment where I'm telling him how to say a joke on camera right before we filmed it. So I had those skills, and I could have done photography maybe. That's a good adjacent thing. I didn't know about photography then. I know about it now. You could wind up doing headshots for other comics. If you could build websites, if you could do thumbnails for YouTube videos, all of these things pay. There's a demand for it. Start your own YouTube channel. Find something that maybe isn't related to comedy. I'll give you an example, but find that something that is you're passionate about. Make a channel that's focused on that, and then be the funny guy hosting it. All these different cable channels that popped up, that's what they looked for. They looked for funny people to do their cooking shows, or Hurt Burt, for example, where Burt Kreischer was doing all these extreme things like bull riding or whatever. So I did that. I started a YouTube channel. You can look it up. It's Frank Funkbuckle. That was the character. I did it once on here. I had a silicone mask, and I started doing it for my eBay store and trying to teach people eBay, but it was mainly for comedy. I could have probably grown that channel. I got tired of wearing a prosthetic mask. I want to just be myself. But that's kind of a shortcut for you into growing your comedy fan base as well. If you're the funniest carpenter on YouTube, you're going to stand out. And then what happens from there? You get hired to do a corporate event for like the Carpenters Convention. Or if you're a teacher. Or if you're super into cosplay. I mean, there's all these other markets for that, but you could be making money on your own with these YouTube channels or TikToks or Instagram, you know, all the things. And also stand out. I mean, the conventional way used to be you do the road, you build up a fan base there, then you go to Hollywood. Before that, it was New York City, but you go to Hollywood and you hope to get hired. Hire yourself now. Build up a fan base of people that really love you. I was talking with Jeff Foxworthy once, and I always explain, if I said this before, you guys don't watch every video. Maybe 2 people do. But I was talking to Jeff Foxworthy, and he said, yeah, they didn't want me in Hollywood. They thought of me as a hee-haw type of act. But I built such an audience on the road that they eventually came to me. They couldn't ignore it anymore. They knew they could make money off of me. So I'd only go into Hollywood for projects and I'd go back to my home. That's super smart. In one of the previous videos, I talked about don't get ahead of yourself if you're not ready for something. Imagine them coming to you. That's the way you want it to be. It's like dating. If you go and kind of pour your heart out to someone, it's not the same as them coming to you and pouring their heart out to you. So think about the other things you can do within comedy and maybe slightly outside of comedy that can start generating some revenue for you so you can continue pursuing your dream. Because as you get older, it's tough. Comics don't have any job security. All of a sudden you could get replaced at the clubs you do every year by some TikToker or some reality star that decides to do stand-up or some psychic medium. And what are you going to do to replace those dates? You don't have health insurance. There's no 401k. It's either I become a multimillionaire or I'm homeless. Don't put yourself in that position. Try to figure out other avenues of income and revenue streams for yourself. I might start a paid promotion on this channel. I might do an endorsement of my own eBay store. It's totally not related, but I'd rather do that than like push some other stuff or try to sell you a book. I mean, you could buy, a nice vintage Lacoste cardigan. Not this one, but that's down the road. I don't know. I'm always weird about that stuff. I don't like asking for any kind of help, even though I know I'd be giving you value. And it's, you can return it. But you have to think rationally when it comes to this business. You might have a couple hot years too, where you're just firing on all cylinders. Don't start spending a bunch of money where you're comfortably living paycheck to paycheck, but just at a higher rate. Put some of that money away. It's tough out here. Comics in the 80s thought, well, it can only go up from here. And then there was a glut of comedians, like there is now, and all these cable channels popped up and started showing stand-up comedies. And people at home were like, well, I'm not going to pay to go see mediocre stand-up or even good stand-up in a club, but I can just sit and watch it on A&E. Weather the storm. That's enough about that. We're coming up on 100 videos on my birthday, January 20th. I'm going to turn 53, and then I'm going to still do this, but I'm going to go back into comedy, starting fresh with brand new material, and see if the world still cares about a 53-year-old straight white male talking about his thoughts and ideas and passions and what that's like. Even if I don't become a worldwide superstar, it'll be beneficial for you to see what it's like, see the realities. You're living them already if you're out there in the clubs and the mics and all that, but I think it'll be an interesting experiment. It's not like when Larry David did it during his first HBO documentary, because he was Larry David and it was HBO. And I know a lot of it was improvised; it wasn't 100% factual. And Jerry Seinfeld's Comedian, that movie, it was produced. This is just going to be me with my iPhone, and it should be interesting. It's terrifying to me. I'm going to have to really do a lot of work. I thought one video a day was tough. I'm going to have so much editing, and I don't know. I'm just going to throw it all out there. So yeah, enjoy these 2 sketches. I'm really, really happy with them. Hey, I'm Rich. I know this is a little awkward, you know, we don't have a lot of time here with the whole speed dating stuff, but let's just jump right into it. Do you have any hobbies or?
Surfing?
Okay. Pets?
A cat. A cat.
Okay. You seem like something's bothering you. Are you all? Is it my? Because I can button this up. If it's too much.
No, it's.
Oh, my wife! No, she's totally. This was her idea. She's totally into this.
All my idea. I love to surf.
She's cute, isn't she? What would you do with her? Hey, the bell didn't ring.
Okay, but no Pinky and the Stinky.
We can live with that.
Okay.
Yeah, we have like ground rules.
Okay.
Like a safe word, like Oklahoma, or. Yeah.
What's the matter?
Mr. Bergen sent me a nasty email. Dude, he doesn't like me.
Dude, I'm sure it's not that bad. You can never tell a person's tone from an email, you know that. Well, read it to me.
Dear Ed, you are the biggest we have here in the office. I hate your stupid face, and if you weren't the owner's son, I'd beat the living out of you, you worthless asshole. Mr. Bergen.
Read it to me again.
Dear Ed, you are the biggest we have here in the office. I hate your stupid face, and if you weren't the owner's